And so we are in the border town between Peru and Chile called Tacna, after an unsuccessful attempt to cross into Chile on the last day before the global shutdown for quarantine. Making our way south from Ecuador through Lima, Nazca, Cusco and the Sacred Valley, through the town of Yuliya and passing by the Lake Titicaca by way of Puno, we lowered back to the Pacific coast and the city of Tacna, where almost at midnight we checked into one of the best hotels in town, thinking that the good rest after a grueling day of crazy travel will help us rectify my visa predicament and we can get an emergency permit to enter Chile. Ha! The next day, the square in front of the consulate was filled with people who spent the night right there on the lawn in order not to miss their turn to plead their case. The crowd was large even without us. It looked bad. There were paper lists of names and numbers, but the doors looked like they were not about to open. Eventually, a policeman motioned to me to remove our bikes from the no parking zone and ask what we were there for. Hearing my story about bad intel with my visa, he quietly said, "It is not going to open. Everything is shut from today on. Do not wait. Seriously. Go back to the hotel. You're wasting your time here."
This is what the meltdown in Peru looks like this afternoon. Nothing's moving. Nobody's getting out of their houses. This is the main street going into town. And there's virtually nothing but a few police cars going down the road. They're telling me that I've got to stay where I am up to 15 days. I have to get the police officer's permission in order to go anywhere.
We looked at the streets from the height of our 9th floor roof terrace and could not believe our eyes. This bustling border town literally stood still. Not a sound, not a rumble of an engine. Stray dogs run around confused and only occasional police car passing by. It was like a sci-fi movie where aliens vaporized everything living. Hotels still had marketing TVs show the sights of the city and commerce, people and lively streets, but behind the front doors there was eerie stillness. In 3-4 days, Casa Andina, our hotel, became the gathering point where all the foreigners from other hotels were segregated before a rumored repatriation attempt. Everything was closing down. It just sounded crazy. We were so removed from the international news for weeks that the sudden apocalyptic turn of events looked like a bad dream. But we couldn't wake up from it, and it was a wait and see. Small group of English speakers, we sat in the lobby, warding off the attempts of the manager who was trying to encourage us to follow the rules and sit in our rooms. We discussed the situation accompanied by the rattle of CNN anchors about the terrifying situation worldwide. And then it happened. At 6 a.m. on a morning, 2 buses, accompanied by ambulances and police cars, rolled in front of the hotel. Everyone was counted, disinfected, masked, hand-gelled, and temperature measured. Doors sealed, to be only opened at the airport in Lima, in front of the plane that was to take the inmates back to their country. We insisted that no one mentioned us at the reception. We were not joining the party. Standing on the 8th floor in front of our window, we were left alone. We and the pandemic lockdown in Tacna. Now that all the desperate to get home people were gone, it was left to us to figure out what we got ourselves into here, and wait. I was rapidly learning Spanish, listening to and reading the presidential decrees. At the hotel, only a couple of people spoke English, at least something. Besides the stray dogs, the first few weeks we saw nothing on the streets. We tried to take walks up to a block from the hotel, and the silence on the streets was just deafening. 5 weeks we did not touch our bikes at all. The gates of the hotel were locked and the security guard in front kept watch that no one left the premises. Finally, we decided to at least wash them, all the while looking at distant mountains from behind which every day rose the sun. After getting used to the fact that we indeed had become inmates in a beautiful 9-story tall prison with roof swimming pool and sauna and gym and daily endless sunbathing, we started to think what to do to not get crazy. Sunrises, sunsets on the roof in absolute silence, disturbed maybe just by passing tropical birds. Below our windows was a school football field populated by stray dogs that served as our alarm each morning. In the half-fallen, dilapidated building over there, a man occasionally burned trash trying to cook himself some food. Out there on a hill, the exit out of the city blocked by the army regiment. We watched them through binoculars every day in hopes to see traffic start moving. In vain. And then there were 2 snow-capped volcanoes peeking at us. Each day the desire to see them up close grew more. For some time we believed that Tacna will open soon. For the longest time, about 6 weeks, there were no infections. The neighboring areas were much worse off. And so we waited, growing darker in shade and more intent to escape. But there was no escape. I even grew some lemongrass. It was, for me, a cat replacement. And on my birthday, they made me a cake. That was nice. But other than that, the food was not happening, and by the time the food door delivery dressed in spacesuits started to function, we were ready. We had no microwave, but we had an iron, and it served a different purpose. Eventually, we were permitted to shop at the local supermarket, Plaza Vea. Great excuse to walk about. Need food, going shopping. Even standing in line waiting to get in was a relief. At least you're outside. One day, we snatched off the shelf the last discounted items. An oven, a sandwich grill, and a pot to use on the iron. The food definitely improved, and we felt happier. And as a result, started causing the guards problems. As we called it, exercising our bikes in the underground garage, we would suddenly speed towards the gates, and while the guard would shout, "Not allowed!" turn around and disappear back in the basement. That was fun. But the day came when working people were allowed to use their own cars. And somehow, we got registered and got us 2 passes for our bikes. We were now able to ride. Totally legal. 1 man per 1 bike, no agglomerations. Tacna had a few interesting places in close enough proximity, and we intended to explore them. About them, next time. And for now, as they say, please like this if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. Till next time!